I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey guys, and welcome back to the News du Jour. I'm coming to you from a very large scarf and some hot tea and yet another juice. I'm just trying to feel better. My whole family is sick right now. My husband's been sick for over a week, and my baby and I probably caught what he has or something else fun that's going around. Anyway, you guys know that pretty much unless I'm on my deathbed, I will be making an episode for you. So here we are. And this is actually a pretty good episode given the circumstances. And I really appreciate you guys always hanging in there with me. But we have a ton of mini stories. We have like 5 here at the top. And then we will jump into a few longer stories. There's some juicy stuff in this episode. Let's get to it. So first up in our mini stories, inflation is slowing, you guys. Hallelujah. It is reportedly down from 7.1% to 6.5% as of last month. And you know what? That's progress, you guys. So for our next mini story, Kevin Costner was literally unable to attend the Golden Globes to accept an award because of the floods in California. He was under a shelter-in-place order. He said his wife even had a dress and everything all ready to go to celebrate him and his achievements with Yellowstone. This is so crazy. And honestly, it's a sign of the times. And, you know, this world is becoming kind of a whole new ballgame with these severe weather events. And they are going to prevent people from getting where they want to go, whether that's home for Christmas or to the freaking Golden Globes to accept an award. And next up in mini stories, in more weather-related news, tornadoes are actually set to hit all over the American South, but the major cities affected will likely be Atlanta and Nashville. Tune in to local weather channels if you live in that area or are visiting. I know I always say that, you guys, but it is so important to heed advisories as these weather events get more sudden and severe. Just keep those ears perked up and pay attention. Next up in mini stories, the sheriff of Monterey, California, is warning that the Monterey Peninsula may actually be becoming an island soon due to all the flooding. It's just getting cut off from the mainland. So this is not good news for residents in that area, and who knows what will happen once the storms stop. This is just another interesting development with all this craziness with the California storms. And lastly for today, Elvis Presley's only child, Lisa Marie Presley, was rushed to the hospital from her home in Calabasas yesterday, and not much is known at this time about what's going on with her, what happened, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted. Obviously, she's been in the spotlight a lot more lately with, you know, the movie coming out about her dad. So she attended the Golden Globes, and that was just a few days ago. So I hope she will pull through. And now we will go ahead and dive into today's longer stories. More classified documents found in President Biden's possession. This time, one document was found in a storage locker in Delaware, you guys. To which I just have to say, what the fuck? Like, how does that happen? You know, how are you like, here's a document, I'm going to go put it into storage, and then I'm going to find it later on. no matter how this all happened, it shouldn't have happened. And it was reportedly found by lawyers who were going through Biden's personal spaces with a fine-tooth comb to make sure nothing else was left behind. But finding this second document resulted in Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, announcing a special counsel to look into why and how these documents keep getting overlooked and left in these unsecured locations that they never should have been at in the first place. So Garland went ahead and appointed Robert K. Hur, who is a seasoned prosecutor from the Trump administration, to look into Biden's conduct and basically investigate and write up a report. Mr. Hur went to both Harvard for undergrad and Stanford for law school. He has an extensive career putting away criminals, from gang members to domestic terrorists. Hopefully, he can get to the bottom of what is going on here. It sounds like he's the man for the job. And next up, nurses strike in NYC. So approximately 7,000 nurses have been striking in New York City for the past 3 days due to thin staffing, overworking, and underpaying. The biggest issue, though, surrounding the strike was really just burnout in general, guys. That's a better blanket term for what's been going on. In case you didn't know, it's been a really tough season for hospitals, kind of quietly. They're not making a big fuss, but it has been really tough. They've dealt with these large number of outbreaks in 3 different viruses: RSV, COVID, and the flu. Some news outlets were calling it a triple-demic, and, that's probably a little dramatic compared to what we just went through with COVID and a real pandemic, but it has been a lot. Some patients even had more than one of these viruses at the same time, which has just been really difficult to monitor when one is peaking and the other is peaking. And RSV is one that is hardest on children. So that has been really heartbreaking for nursing staff as well, tending to little ones, watching them suffer and doing their best to help them. And it got to the point where the nurses felt like they just couldn't do their job safely anymore due to lack of staffing. In one hospital, they even added 170 new nursing positions as of this strike and announced a 19.1% increase in pay. The changes were announced at about 3 a.m. on Thursday morning, so we're glad the nurses were able to get what they needed, as they are so vital to our healthcare system. Can't function without them. And last up for today, we are discussing Aleksei Navalny. You guys may have been asking yourself, where the hell is Navalny in all this? If you are an OG News du Jour listener, you've heard us talk about Aleksei Navalny a lot, and honestly, it really seems at times like he is the great hope for Russia's future. But if you haven't heard us talk about him before and have no idea who this person is, he basically is an activist who was jailed long prior to the war breaking out, mostly due to Putin being threatened by his popularity, potential, and dreams of a freer Russia. We knew there was no chance that he was being treated well in prison, because basically no one is, let's be honest, but especially not in Russia, and especially not someone who's going nose to nose with Putin. Yeah, it is, a given that anyone who's going nose to nose with Putin directly would be given pretty tough conditions in prison, and it turns out that's definitely the case. Yulia Navalny, Alexei's wife, is now begging publicly to get him medical treatment. According to Yulia, he was put in a small cell with someone who was extremely sick and contagious in order to try and infect him, and now he is being denied medical treatment. Yulia even said that they're not allowing him to lay down despite the fact that he has a fever. He was forced to stand all day. So over 200 Russian doctors came together and all signed a petition and sent it to Vladimir Putin himself, demanding that he, quote, stop abusing, end quote, Aleksei Navalny. Being as Navalny is definitely Putin's fiercest challenger, I am sure that Putin would love to see him die in prison of a natural cause, like an illness, especially while the war is going on, to distract everyone. Putin has likely already tried to assassinate Navalny before, when on a plane he was poisoned and flown emergency style to Germany for safety and for treatment. Pretty much all Western sources agree that Putin was at work with that poisoning. So upon Navalny's return to Russia, Putin was waiting for him and arrested him on trumped up charges and has since charged him with even further offenses since the war broke out. So he's now serving a 9-year or longer sentence. Let's hope that he can get that medical treatment soon before it's too late. And that is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "Self-care is how you take your power back." Here's to a weekend full of self-care for yours truly. Hope you guys get some rest too. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use to listen. A rate and review or shout out on social media would mean the world to us and help us be able to keep creating the news du jour. But the best way to support all of our work is to become a patron at www.patreon.com/sugarfreemedia. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram and just sugarfreemedia, all one word, on TikTok. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour. Broadcasting from Oklahoma.